Sometimes the greatest rest is found in a little bit of extra effort. This is the story of how a recovering German alcoholic and an outspoken English woman created one of the great modern psalms and the harp technique that keeps me from spraining my wrist every time I play a repeated pattern. This is the story behind Praise to the Lord. Wild college students are more than a modern cliche, and in 1660s, Joachim Neander was one of the rowdiest of German frat boys. He'd left behind his family of good Lutheran school teachers and become a regular drunk and disorderly. One day, he and his friends got wasted and went out to try and heckle the newest preacher arrived in the city of Bremen. I'm seeing a pattern in great hymn writers. Check out my video on Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. But Joachim's ridicule was overwhelmed by the intense preaching of Theodor Undereich. And afterwards, Joachim stayed and had a conversation. And then he came back and had another. And soon these conversations so convinced Joachim that he changed his ways, reformed from being rowdy and started following Jesus, devoting his energies to teaching and writing beautiful devotional hymns. He would take breaks from tutoring to take long walks through the hills, and inspired by these, he would write passionate hymns of devotion, celebrating the glories of God and nature. Probably his most famous hymn, Praise to the Lord, is modeled after Psalm 150, which says, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord, praise the Lord." Joachim matched his version of these words to a traditional tune, and it became Lob den Herrn, or Praise to the Lord, and spread quickly through German hymnals. But it would take another 200 years for an Englishwoman to give it a new life. In 1854, most translations, church liturgy, church music was done by men. Enter Catherine. The daughter of a silk merchant in England, Catherine Winkworth had just come back from visiting her family in Dresden, Germany, where she had fallen in love with the German language and German hymns. She was an outspoken advocate of higher education for women, so when she got back, she began showing her talents and her beliefs by doing her own translations of German into English, especially of these incredible songs that she'd grown to love. Published in the book Lyra Germanica, Catherine's translations of hymns like Praise to the Lord soon garnered praise for her work because commentators marveled she'd somehow managed to stay faithful to German and make sense in beautiful poetic English and fit it to the same tune. Her hymns spread across England and America, making her one of the most influential hymn writers, opening a door for cultural music exchange and enabling everyone who has life and breath and speaks English to appreciate this beautiful hymn, Praise to the Lord. I love Praise to the Lord. It's clean, almost classical shape. You can hear Joachim's rolling hills in the melody, and the lyrics are so perfect. In English, the rhyme is perfect rhyme. And they have so many layers, they just keep you coming back. When I'm having a really bad day, I remember my parents singing, "Ponder anew what the Almighty can do, if with his love he befriend you." This idea of repeated rumination inspired how I harmonized Praise to the Lord. I've mentioned in several of my videos different ways you can add chords to a melody. You can just play a straight chord. You can roll a chord. Or you can play it in an arpeggio. Just before I recorded my CD, Hymns and Variations, I was playing through a lot of classical music, Mozart and Haydn, and they often break their chords into an ostinato pattern, this sort of repeating phrase. An ostinato is any repeating harmonic or rhythmic phrase, and it creates a sort of thrum underneath the melody that the right hand can dance over. Let the Amen sound from his people again and again and again and again. But repetition has its dangers, especially for musicians. Anytime you repeat a motion over and over again, you're walking a tightrope of tension in your tendons, muscle strain, all sorts of nasty repetitive motion disorders. So my harp teacher was teaching me a technique called oscillation, or wrist rocking. Normally, when I play, I try and keep my hand really steady, so I have a strong place to pull my fingers back to. But when I'm playing a repeated broken chord, I oscillate my hand, or let the momentum carry it a little farther forward than it really needs to go. This actually creates more space for the muscles to relax on the way back, and a little extra effort makes it much less work. So from a recovered German alcoholic to an English women's rights activist, from German hymns to classical ostinato patterns, that is the story behind Praise to the Lord. Check out my other video where I perform Praise to the Lord on my lever harp, or the recording is available on my CD, Hymns and Variations, links in iTunes and Spotify. The sheet music for this arrangement is now available on my website, links in the description, and please like and subscribe, leave a comment with a favorite song or hymn you'd like to know more about. Now, start making music. I love Praise to the Lord.